we're going to break down and I'm going to explain all the weapons I have saved and why I have them saved. So I've been future-proofing my weapons in my vault for years with the assumption that one day some of these weapons might actually be buffed to the point where they're actually usable or good. I kind of skip over exotics because exotics really aren't necessarily relevant. I'm going to try and exclusively cover PvE stuff.
This was shot in front of a live studio audience at twitch.tv/Sweatcicle.
So starting off at the beginning, anything that I skip, if I skip it and you're wondering why I skipped it, the conclusion is it's probably just a PvP weapon. The Supremacy Sniper, best roll right here. Triple tap snapshot. I like snapshot a lot, but all you have to do is have triple tap and a 7 mag, which you can get with either extended or appended. It allows you to get off 10 shots if you hit your or 11 if you hit your triple tap. The reason why this sniper is good versus something like Long Shadow or the Deep Stone Sniper, it's good for burst damage, which means it's going to execute a lot. Those are going to be two things you hear a lot in this video, is burst damage versus sustained. Sustained is more damage over a longer period of time. Burst damage is a lot more damage in a shorter period of time. This is a burst damage weapon, so you're looking to get off more bullets, get off some fast damage rather than trying to do a lot over time. So I guess Praetus is another option, but I really like Supremacy. You actually don't necessarily need to do the raid to get this because you can go get the free Last Wish loot. You have 3 characters, you can go try and get the chest every week. There are a couple, I think on Warlock and Titan, you can fly and get the second chest for it. So technically you can get up to 5 chances per week. So there aren't a lot of primary autos to use. The reason why I like this one in particular, high caliber rounds are really good for constantly stunning enemies. Overflow is one of the best perks in the game, very slept on. Allowing your magazine to overfill, especially for something like anti-barrier, or just the ability to constantly spray without having to reload, and I feel like it's not as appreciated as it should be. Swashbuckler doesn't matter too much. Most of the time when you're spraying things down with an auto, I don't think I'm ever going for melee kills to get that ×5 stack, so spoil in trouble. It is a kinetic shotgun. It's got full auto assault mag, so you get the 5 extra rounds per minute with assault mag. It's not a... Whenever shotguns get buffed, I think that this will be one of the shotguns that'll possibly be nice to have, especially with something like Rampage and full auto, you know? Shotguns used to be the meta back when they were in the heavy slot, like EP shotgun. Since then, they've not been good enough to be usable. Long Shadow. This is a sustained damage sniper. I do think that Succession, which is the Deep Stone Crypt sniper, is better than this, but this is another good one to have. You get 5 in the mag. So if you get all your shots, all your headshots off with triple tap, you'll get up to 7 shots without reloading. Snapshot's good, but you have to have appended or extended to be able to hit that. Best scout in the game, Night Watch. You can get this from doing the new light quest. It's like 3 steps in. Literally God roll. Overflow, you can overflow the mag. Explosive payloads allows you to hit the same damage from any range, so you get no range drop off with explosive payload, which is why that perk has always been broken since D1. It is so good. If there's one weapon like that is a long range weapon that you need to have, it's this one. Blasphemer. I don't know how you pronounce this. I thought it was blasphemy. If there's a primary slug shotgun to have, it would be this one, simply because, again, you can get assault mag, which increases your rounds per minute by 5, 4 times the charm. So if you hit 4 precisions in a row, you'll get 2 back in the magazine, which is cool. I haven't really touched it since I got it, but it's, again, we're talking about future-proofing. In a perfect world where we go back to a double slug shotgun meta, like Blasphemer and first and last out, goated combo. Escape velocity. Primary SMG, this thing's been my baby since Arrivals. I haven't had this roll since Arrivals, but that's when it dropped and they put it in the pool. I think it's good because you can get overflow on it, so you get like a bottomless mag with surrounded on it. You can put surrounded spec if you prefer that. Just allows you to get some extra damage. I think it's very, very nice. I would prefer to have like flared mag wall or tac mag on here personally for the better reload. Succession was the other sustained damage sniper that I was talking about, so it's a little bit slower RPM, 72 RPM. This is the God roll. Tac or appended mag. Tac is better. You want to be able to, because either of those two, you start at base 3. And with Reconstruction, you go up to an 8 magazine with Vorpal giving you extra damage against bosses and vehicles. God roll, very good for sustained damage. And the nice part about Reconstruction is you can have the weapon stored while shooting a different weapon. and it'll still fill up to that 8 magazine. So it's essentially having the triple tap magazine, but without having to guarantee those headshots. Heritage, another really good primary slug shotgun. This is the one I've been using for the double slug shotgun meta. Auto reloading and recombination. 3 seconds, you get the full magazine reload while it's stored. Full denial. This is like one of the only primary pulses that I kept for PvE related stuff. I feel like I don't ever use pulses in PvE anymore. It's either a scout rifle, hand cannon, or SMG. I feel like that's it. High cal rounds helps you flinch enemies, which is very, very nice. Feeding Frenzy for the better reload, and then Swash to build extra damage. Arbalest is going to be insanely good after the Witch Queen buff or 30th Annie. This is the best PvE special exotic that you can have. You can choke point enemy spawn doors. You can stick them and it does passive damage. While you spray down with another weapon, it auto reloads after you store it. Witherword is just, it's so goated between ammo efficiency and all the other things I just mentioned. Like if you don't have this, you need to have it. Extraordinary Rendition, another primary SMG. But with this one, you can get something like Rampage, so you can build up your damage stacks, which is also very nice, which is why I like this one in particular. It's not my favorite recoil pattern, which is why I don't use it as much as the Escape Velocity, but I guess you just kind of pick whatever preference you want on that end. Chroma Rush, just because it had kill clip on a primary auto, that was basically the only reason for that. Do I even need to speak about this? The best grenade launcher in the game. All you need is these two things. Blinding grenades are absurdly broken, for those who don't know. It allows you to blind enemies. I don't know the exact time, how long they're blind. I think it's like, let's just say 5 seconds, just for guessing. It's an absurdly long time. You don't even have to directly impact them. It's a radius thing. So as long as you hit the radius, enemies are blind for like 5 seconds. I use this thing all the time. It's my favorite weapon. If there's one special weapon I could recommend that's legendary, this. When you slide shot, every time you slide, it reloads your mag. You don't even have to go through the full reload animation. You literally just slide and it fills back up. So literally you shoot a blinding grenade, you slide, you pull out your other weapon, you start spraying enemies down. They're not even looking at you. They just sit like this and just walk around and you can spray them down. You can get it from the Splicer engram in the engram table, the Umbrel engram table, for those who are wondering. Fatebringer Depth, you get this roll guaranteed if you do the Templar challenge. Hand cannon with explosive payload, again, not losing that damage drop off with the explosive rounds. And then if you get a kill with a headshot, does like a little explosion, get bonus damage to things around it. It kind of speaks for itself. It's a very, very solid hand cannon. Any one in the primary slot that I would recommend, it would have to be this one for PvE. Hung Jury, the thing that kind of bugs me is that I can't get explosive payload and Firefly. If I were to recommend anything, it would be explosive payload, just for the reason that you can't lose a damage drop off. The weapon just feels really nice to hold. It's an alternate option to this, but again, this one's free, so why would you go out of your way to get this if you don't have to? Totally up to you. Servant Leader, I got this thing recently. It's a faster firing scout. It's not good necessarily, but it's not bad. It's one of those things that I'm holding in case they do buff. I don't know how many 260s there are in the game. I don't think there are that many, but there might be a day where they do get an increase in damage and they might be good. Last Breath, I like this one in particular. This auto is one of my favorites just because high cal flinches enemies like crazy. Vault of Glass in particular, like Master Vogue, I was shooting a goblin and it looked like the dude was having a stroke every time because every bullet would stagger him back. And there's no recoil on the weapon. It just feels so nice to shoot. Now, if we're getting into bows, Tyranny of Heaven, curated roll from Last Wish, Sneak Bow, good perk. More importantly, Dragonfly. Dragonfly's cool if you get that headshot. Just a nice solar energy bow if you need one, because you can still get it from Last Wish. Also, you get from Last Wish, Nation of Beasts. This is the curated roll, Outlaw Dragonfly. Dude, I don't want to be so repetitive with like Dragonfly and perks like this. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you do get the precision kill, you get Outlaw too, so you get that insanely fast reload. Also, Arc Hand Cannon. We don't get a lot of good ones like that for PvE. That's another variance thing, is like you might see a lot of different energy hand cannons. Keep different ones, maybe specifically because I need an arc one for something, a solar one for something, or a void one for something. It just depends. Arsenic Bite, this drops from the World Loot Pool. This is like the favorite energy bow as far as I know. Works like explosive rounds. There's no damage drop off. And Rampage allows you to stack up that damage. The more bow kills you get in a row within a short period of time. And it is arc. So having an arc bow is very nice thing. Fusions weren't really good until this season, specifically because of particle deconstruction and them being buffed. But this is one of the ones I'd been holding for a long time. Accelerated coils and liquid coils are the best two options you can get in this tree. It's burst damage versus sustained damage. Whereas accelerated is better for burst, and then liquid is better for sustained. Auto reloading, one of the best perks in the game. When you have this weapon stowed, it'll reload the whole mag after 3 seconds. I don't really know what to say. Like, just as an arc fusion option, I thought it would eventually be good one day, but we have gotten a lot of other fusions since then that have been good. But most of the ones that we've gotten since then aren't arc, so that's why I had this one. Dude, I hate to talk about this one. I hope that Bungie brings this back. This is the curated gnawing hunger from the Reckoning activity, which is no longer in the game. Overflow and Rampage. Best perk combo you could get because it overflows to like 72, or is it 92 in the mag? Something crazy. It's just absurd. Or 96. Is it just double whatever number? 96 in the mag on an auto rifle. It's insane because the recoil is very controllable on the gnawing hunger as well. I really wish people could still get this. I do. I hate to talk about it, but I wanted to bring it up because I hope they do bring it back. You can still get the gnawing hunger. You just can't get the roll with overflow on it, which is annoying. So now we're starting to get into the energy grenade launchers. This is one of those that was an alternative to Truth Teller, which is another void one. This one has auto loading, one of my favorite perks, and blinding, which I talked about earlier. So we have a solar hand cannon, Ancient Gospel. It's a nice 140. It's got Dragonfly Outlaw, like the Nation of Beasts as well. So basically same roll, but just solar. So it feels a little bit different based on the recoil, but same concept. Reckless Oracle. This used to be one of my favorite energy autos that wasn't this. Auto-loading kill clip, good for reasons I've already explained. It's a different feel. You can still get this from Garden of Salvation, by the way, both of these weapons if you're looking for it. I think this is another one of the exotics worth mentioning. Both of these are. You can get this from Garden as well through the quest. You can look up a Dado video on that or wherever you want to look up your guide. Ariana's Vow, you can get this from the kiosk. It's a special ammo hand cannon. This thing just hits hard as hell. The Catalyst does give you auto-loading and it gives you a larger magazine. The thing kind of hits like a truck. It's not useful for everything, but I think it's a really good thing to have in your collection, especially since it provides anti-barrier. 7th Seraph, surrounded for the damage bonus, threat detector for the increased reload when near enemies. Dude, sidearms just haven't been good since Season of Dawn. It's been a long time. If we're getting into SMGs, a lot of people, so the two biggest ones are this one and the other Aikilos one. I don't like the reload or the recoil pattern on this one. I think it just controls horribly and it feels like garbage compared to the Aikilos SMG. This is my baby. You can get both of them from the World Loot Pool. Threat detector surrounded. I'm telling you, this is the one you want. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. This one feels so much better and it's just so nice. The Summoner. So supposedly Zur is supposed to be adding this loot pool or to his loot pool. So he's just gonna randomly pop up in his inventory at some point. Again, it's another one of those autos that just shoots like a laser. It doesn't move. You can get overflow on it. This used to be an old Trials weapon. So eventually Zur is supposed to bring this, is the word on the street. The Distant Tumulus. This is a burst fire sniper. World loot pool drop. You can get Clown cartridge. So every time you reload, it'll automatically overflow your mag. So when I reload, I think it gives you up to 10 is the max if I have a 7 mag. So if I shoot one bullet and I reload, I can get, the mag will either be 7, 8, 9, or 10 after I reload. It's random. And firing line, you get increased precision damage when you're near 2 or more allies. So if you're sitting there, you have a div on a boss and you need burst damage from a secondary sniper. This wouldn't be my first choice necessarily, but if you get something like this and you're newer and you don't have a lot of weapons to work with, this isn't bad. Masterworks usually, they don't matter that much. I'm gonna be totally honest. More on the PvP side of things, I think they're more important, but for PvE, they're not essential to have this masterwork at all. So if you're worried about that, Xenoclast. Again, waiting for that non-precision, non-slug shotgun buff, which we're getting, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's an arc energy. You can get this one from strikes. Auto loading and then trench barrel. Trench barrel used to be so goated. When you punch an enemy now, you get bonus damage for 3 shots or until the little timer on the side runs out. So you can continually refresh. Punch 3 shots, punch 3 shots, and just continue that. It's nice. It's nice with the 6 mag because you could just do 2 cycles of that. This is my baby. This is where my blinding nades addiction started. This roll in particular is better just because of Disruption Break. I love it. It's a good perk. Breaking enemy shields with this weapon grants a more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a short period. Auto-loading, goated. Blinding Nades, goated. It's the energy go-to grenade launcher with Blinding Nades. Unless there is a strike one too that's solar that is extremely similar. Empty Vessel is pretty much the same thing. If you get it, you just take your pick. You can get it from the World Loot Pool or you can get it from strikes. Or Solar or Void, whichever one you want to choose there. Danger Zone is nice because it also increases your blast radius, so that Blinding Nades has a little bit larger effect. Can you guys tell I'm addicted? I have 3 different roles of the Truth Teller. Is a much worse version of Blinding Nades. If Blinding Nades get nerfed, it might be good. It basically has the same exact effect, but just less time, and I don't know why it's in the game. Like Kilo Shotgun, another Trench Shotgun, but this one's solar. So this also you can get from the World Loot Pool. Might be really good after the shotgun buff. Appended Mag for a little extra ammo. Feeding Frenzy, so after you get kills, you can reload faster. Now here, this one's very important. If I had to pick between the Distant Tumulus and the Aikilos Sniper Rifle, this one wins all day. Best roll you can get is 4 times the charm and high impact reserves. If you hit all your shots, I think you get, is it 12 off, chat? Dude, I'm not trying to do the math in my head. 'Cause every 4 headshots you hit, you get 2 back. As your magazine drains, you will get more damage on the bullets lower to the bottom of the mag. But since it continues to refill bullets, you're getting some really juicy damage, like when you get over halfway through the mag. That's why this is so important to pair with this. As well as being burst fire, it just allows you to like, just the burst damage is immaculate on it. You put a div on an enemy, you literally just spray. Ding, 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 ding. For this, to get that 7 mag, is you need appended or tac mag. Throw a boss spec on there for 10% extra damage against bosses and vehicles. If you are fighting a taken enemy, this works for any weapon, by the way. Taken spec, if you're fighting a taken boss, you get 12.5% versus the 10% if you put on a Taken spec mod. First and last out was the other Slug Shotgun I mentioned earlier. It's the best energy one that you can get. World Loot Pool drop. It's really good because you can give Vorpal on it, so you get that extra damage versus bosses. Auto reloading for storing and reloading. Yeah, just a solid weapon to have, in my opinion, for like chunking down bigger enemies. Not necessarily a boss, but ideally you want Assault Mag on here because it'll increase your RPM, rounds per minute, by an extra 5. So go from 65 to 70. Salvage or Salvo, this thing's good for ad clearing. This is one of those seasonal weapons. You can get this from Season of Chosen. The roll is the same when you get it, so you just get it and it's a good roll. Chain Reaction's just good because you blow up an enemy and it literally causes... Actually, wait, I can't say that on YouTube. It causes big boom boom to enemies around it and it just chains. It just depends. Like, for me personally, yeah, it's good for ad clear, but I prefer blinding to be able to consistently clear ads. Because blinding, they're not even shooting back at you. With this, you're taking the chance at enemies still being able to spray you down. Imperial Needle, Void Bow, again, just a different affinity. Archer's Tempo, so you decrease the draw time after every precision hit. Frenzy for extra damage. This one you get from the Season of Chosen Umbrel table. This one comes from Nightfalls, the Shadow Price, on a specific week. Arc Auto. It's one of the only arc autos in the game that's good, in my opinion. It's nice because you can get Disruption Break on it. I don't know, there's a lot of different rolls you could get on it. I just think the weapon feels nice, and it's more about the arc than anything. I don't really use energy hand cannons in PvE that much, but when I do, it's Outlaw Dragonfly on the Last Wish hand cannon and the Garden hand cannon, which I mentioned earlier. But this one in particular, it's Void, and it can roll Overflow and Rampage, which is very nice. So if you prefer that, you can get this from Nightfalls. Okay, so here's the way I look at this. These are two extreme... It's a 72 RPM, so it's a very slow firing sniper. It's energy and Void, which you don't get a lot of. You have triple tap, 4 in a mag, so you can get up to 5 total. So as the mag decreases, you're hitting higher damage numbers. So if you're looking for something that is sustained damage and gonna hit harder over a longer period of time, I think that this could be good if snipers get buffed. Either this one or this one, because Vorpal, you get the guaranteed damage increase. If I were to pick one of them, I'd probably go for this one just for safety's sake. Artesian, man, this is my baby. I had a third roll that I deleted, but if I had to pick, I like the under pressure one better personally. This, again, you're either going for liquid or accelerated coils. As long as you have Vorpal on here, that's the most important thing, because Vorpal, it's the only energy fusion that has it on it, as far as I'm aware. Fusions have not been good since D1. Another scout rifle with overflow on it, which you don't get super often. And you can get disruption break and high cal. I think this is just a perfect combo to have. This drops from the World Loot Pool. Just a really good range weapon, especially for arc. If you're not looking to use a bow, if you want a scout rifle, Eternal Blazon's the way to go. This is one of the only other PvE shotguns that I have, as far as I'm aware. 1-2 punch also used to be a really good thing, kind of similar to trench barrel. But after you hit all the pellets of one shotgun shell, then your melee does a lot more damage. So if you're like up in an enemy's grill, like you shove your shotgun barrel up the boss's butt crack, this can be really good. Assuming shotguns get back to a place where you can just barrel stuff. I thought this is kind of nice because like you can swap it out for full auto too. It just depends what you prefer. But best void fusion, if you're not using Cartesian coordinate, get this one because it's the guaranteed roll again. High impact reserves is very, very nice for that extra damage as you go lower into the mag. D1, explosive round, triple tap snipers were the way to go, which is why I kept this one, because you're not losing it, you're getting the extra damage with explosive payload, and you're still able to proc triple tap, so you can get up to 7 shots without reloading with tac mag or appended mag. And then you can get adept big ones, so you get a little bit extra damage because it's the adept big ones. If you're looking for a slower firing sniper that also is solar, I think it's a good option to have. This is the one I wanted to keep because again, it's adept, so you get a little bit more damage with the adept big ones. Reservoir burst. This used to be really good with, there was a seasonal weapon called Loaded Question. Thank you, chat. It had the same perk as this. So when the battery's full, you get a full mag. You shoot an enemy and it kills them, it causes a huge explosion. Well, and not only, the first bullet does a lot more damage too. It used to be super, super broken. And people really slept on it before it got nerfed, so it didn't really make its way to the spotlight. You can get that now. This is a Nightfall weapon. Specifically, if you do GMs, you get these, that's where you get these adept weapons, the Grandmaster versions. Liquid coils. Or accelerated, whatever you prefer. This perk slot doesn't really matter. Having Reservoir Burst on a fusion might become meta again at some point. Again, just waiting for those if, ands, or buts to happen with these buffs. Anything that I'm saving, all it takes is one buff for fusions or to Reservoir Burst for this to just be insane. And that goes for any singular perk or weapon type that's been mentioned so far. Pallades Corrector, dude, this thing used to be sick. I keep it because it's solar. High cal, 4th time's a charm, so you can extend the mag a little bit. It's not quite overflow, but it's good. And Demolitionist is a nice little bonus if you want that. This is another trench shotgun that is a slower fire, really slow fire, that's waiting for a buff. Kept it because it's void. I have a solar one and I have an arc one. So here's the thing about this thing. It's full auto. It's a full auto sidearm. This thing's actually kind of fun. Especially with overload, it dumps the mag really fast, and it's kind of good for like little burst ad clear. Having to constantly reload after just a few bullets if you don't proc overflow is annoying, but I would encourage people to just give this thing a try for fun. And if sidearms get buffed at all, this thing could be wicked, in my personal opinion. I think it's pretty sick. Okay, so the long walk, you get this from the Prophecy Dungeon first encounter. This is another slower firing sniper. This one is solar, which is why I'm keeping it. Also, you can get overflow or clown, so both allow you to have more than what you reload with in the magazine. And then with firing line, you get that increased precision damage when you're near 2 or more allies. Extended or pendant mag, whatever you prefer. A good sustained damage sniper, I think, in the future, possibly. So now we're kind of getting into heavy weapons. Outrageous Fortune, so you're going to see like a few different grenade launchers here. This one's solar. You always want spike nades. Until there's something that comes that's better, spike nades are the way to go. You pretty much need it on grenade launchers for them to be, like, good. It's the only thing that matters here. Rampage is okay, but usually, ammo efficiency-wise, you don't want to use your heavy on clearing ads. And this thing doesn't get a lot of ammo in general, so using it to proc Rampage is kind of counterintuitive in my point. Storm of the Raven is the same thing. Spike, just void. LMGs aren't that good, but I know they are getting buffed. The 7th Seraph one was a good one to keep because it gives you a lot of ammo. And And you can get stuff like mulligans, so if you miss, it can return shots to the magazine, or you can use firing line for that extra precision damage if you so choose. If you're using it for boss damage, which you normally wouldn't, this is more of an, LMGs are usually more of an ad clear type thing. You're going to start seeing a plethora of rocket launchers. So the best thing you can get on rocket launchers is impact casing or alloy casing. That's right. I thought that wasn't right. Impact and alloy, you need to have one of those two on a rocket for it to be good. These rockets are going to vary based on like fire speed, blast radius, cluster / lasting impression. The meta right now is lasting impression, but I think at some point cluster bombs could make a return. This one you can get from the Season of Chosen Umbrel table. This one is nice because you can get auto loading on it too. The Royal Entry, I know people love this one. This one is you get this from Strikes. Lasting impression, auto-loading, and alloy. So you can get a really, really nice roll on this one. This is one of the fan favorites right here. Vault of Glass rocket. You can get overflow, lasting impression, or cluster. So just a nice little variance there. If you want to get overflow, that's cool too. I wouldn't prefer overflow on a rocket launcher, but it's an option. The most important thing is the last perk slots and alloy / impact. Now we're getting into two of the more recent ones that have been buffed. The Hothead, coming from Nightfalls because it is Adept, so if you put in Adept big ones on there, you're going to get that extra free little damage. Impact casing, explosive light, which I mentioned earlier. You pick up an orb, your next shot is going to do a lot more damage. This thing can be insane. You can get tracking on it too, which is really nice. Or you can get the Ascendancy. This is a guaranteed roll with explosive light, impact casing. You get this from a Vanguard quest. You can get this one. It's another explosive light rocket if you want that. It also has a chain reaction, but usually you don't use rockets for ad clear, but that is an option if you're into that. I'm going to assume that Galahorn's going to be broken when it comes out, so I'm just going to throw that on your list now to get for Witch Queen. Back to grenade launchers. Interference. This is World Loot Pool drop. I haven't seen this one drop that much lately, but this one's nice because you can also get auto loading on it too. Some people like full court, so the way this works is the farther you shoot your shot, the more damage it does when it finally hits its target. It's 25% damage at 50 meters, but like, it's just so counterintuitive, dude. I don't like it. 3 + 4 of the best heavy weapons in the game. You can get all of these except for 1000 Voices from the exotic kiosk at the tower. Whisper's getting a buff. Sleeper's good for sustained damage. 1000 Voices, a really good mix between really good ad clear, burst damage, and it's pretty good for sustained damage too. It's like a nice medium between everything. So this comes from the End of Last Wish, by the way, if you don't know that. You can get this from the exotic kiosk in the tower. Anarchy is really good for passive damage on bosses, and you can put it down for... I used to use it a lot for, like, you could put it on the spawn doors of ads to like damage them as they come out, so they either be one shot or dead. The way that they nerf the ammo is that I would only use Anarchy to stick like 1 or 2 to get passive and max damage. You never want to shoot more than 2 Anarchy onto a boss, by the way, because you're just wasting ammo at that point. Xeno is another one of those ones where it's very situational because it's an explosive round heavy machine gun. So it has absolutely 0 damage drop off from 1 billion meters away, but it fires kind of slow now, and your ammo can kind of get zapped pretty quick. I don't think it's not good for burst damage. It's not really good for sustained damage either. So it's like using this is kind of weird because you'd want to use it on an encounter like, let's just say oracles, or if you're doing the cube room in Prophecy, you can just one tap the snipers. That's the kind of stuff I use it for. It's like very situational encounters, but it might not be a bad thing to have if you're trying to sit 40 miles back with them, like some sort of decent damage, right? It's basically like, yeah, like a heavy scout rifle is pretty much what it is. You're right. If the rumor is true that rocket launchers are going to be insane next season, Deathbringer might be one you want to bring to the table, especially because of the catalyst. So if you shoot it above an enemy and let it drip down, the farther it drips down, the more damage it does. Void heavyweight strikes. You literally just watch a boss get one shot. It's kind of fun, actually. I might do like a little video on that soon if that happens again. But the only thing that holds this back is the ammo. You only get like 8 shots max. It kind of sucks because, again, unless it's like an arc burn situation, this isn't really that good because you're always going to be using Lament or Guillotine. This thing is just so broken. This is the best legendary sword in the game by a mile. This is the best roll you can get on it. When Blade is getting nerfed, so I might switch this to Surrounded. It just depends. We'll have to do some testing as that comes up. Relentless Strike, Swordmaster's Guard, and Jagged Edge is what you preferably want. But just making sure you have these two. If you get Honed Edge is okay too. in my opinion, but preferably jagged. This is just one of those ones that you want to have around all the time because it's good for pairing with like Wither Horde. You stick an enemy with a Wither Horde and you slap it with the guillotine. Lament's really good for the same sort of concept, except it's solar and it just does a lot of damage. The thing is with swords in general is they're very, very, very ammo efficient. You know how much damage you can do with 58 ammo over time? Because it's good for burst and sustained damage. But you're also taking that risk of reward of being in an enemy's face to sit there and swing a sword at him or clip Riven's toenails. But it doesn't really matter when you're sitting in a well. I have this one as like a backup arc sword because you can toss the little arc blades. So it could be a point where this thing becomes good, but until one of these gets nerfed, it's not going to be. I have this one as an ad clearing grenade launcher, but again, like I said earlier, grenade launchers aren't very efficient, ammo efficient for ad clear. Same goes with Soulless Scar. I like it because you can get Adept on it, and then you can also put in Adept big ones on for the extra damage. It is solar, so you can toss those little like frisbee blades. Threaded Needle, it's been the best this season because it is a linear. Linears are insane with particle deconstruction. You can still get this from the Season of Chosen Umbrel table. It's nuts because it can have Vorpal on it. And Clown cartridge, so you can get that extra magazine size. Unfortunately, that one doesn't have accelerated coils like this one does, but the only other thing that I missed that I probably should mention, I didn't talk about any primary bows. You can get this one from Garden of Salvation. So if you need, bro, like just get it, because it's the only primary bow that I think really matters. It comes from the first encounter. More than likely gonna get a good roll pretty fast, because it's got a lot of good perks on the table. So I'm gonna put all the weapons on here that I think are gonna be good next season, personally, or that I'm already using and are absolutely insane. So if you were to pick up, let's just say 10 weapons from each slot, Ignition Code, Sliding, Blinding, Curated Roll, Fatebringer from Master Vogue, New Light Quest, Night Watch, Wither Horde, Supremacy, Triple Tap, Appended or Extended, Succession with, you want both of these perks. Sniper, Arbalest is getting a fat buff. Izanagi's is really good for burst. Escape Velocity just has a nice little spray down primary with overflow. A bow for just having a good primary bow. If I were to go straight into the new dungeon, you guys, like with any loadout that I could pick right now and just be conservative, it would be this. Spray down adds, you can blind everything, you can get free passive damage while sitting 48 miles back. Aikilos SMG, bar none, best secondary SMG in the game. Cartesian with Vorpal, slow firing sniper, overflow. Again, like any of these snipers are assuming appended or extended mag. Ariana's Vow, a really versatile weapon that's good. First and last out, really consistent. Slug shotgun, it hits like a truck. Good burst fire Aikilos sniper. Nation of Beasts, really solid hand cannon. Curated roll from Last Wish. Royal Chase, or substitute with any energy scout that's got like auto loading or explosive rounds, whatever you want on there particularly. Truth Teller for the blinding nades and auto loading. Arsenic Bite just to have a nice bow. Heavies, passive damage, Anarchy. Very, very good, very safe. Ascendancy, curated quest from this season. Again, think it's gonna be kind of insane to pair with like Izanagi's Burden because Explosive Light is so good. Same goes for the Royal Entry. You might, Lasting Impression might be better in some situations than Explosive Light. It just depends. 1000 Voices for the ad clear, sustained damage, and just really good everything in general. Ammo efficiency on the falling guillotine, as well as being able to do consistent damage over a long period of time. Slap down a well. Same goes with Lament. Long. Whisper of the Worm is getting buffed so that if you hit 3 precision shots, it's going to take 2 from your reserves and 1 out of thin air. So that way you're getting an increase of 33.3 repeating percent ammo efficiency on it, which I think is going to make the weapon a lot better for sustained damage and just better in general. Also, sustained damage is Sleeper Simulant, long damage over a period of time. Darcy, the counter to Whisper, the burst damage over a short period of time. It's getting a 20% buff, you guys? Tractor Cannon, man, people sleep on this. Tractor Cannon, anything that you hit, it'll go flying. And it debuffs it, and it does good damage, dude. I think people sleep on this weapon, man. I've loved this thing since like Last Wish. I used this when I went into Last Wish. Honestly, the way that I structure any of my loadouts is I kind of usually just pick my heavy weapon first for whatever we're doing. If we're fighting a boss that has a lot of health or is going to take a few phases, I'm going to pick something that has a lot of ammo. So something like a Whisper versus something like Darcy that's going to be burned like that, unless you know you're going to be able to get heavy ammo to drop. So since your exotic slot has been eaten, you can't run anything like Witherhoard for choke pointing the ad clear. So you want to have a nice combination, being able to put in that damage over time and being able to control your ads and have enough ammo. Primary weapons have infinite ammo now, which is actually really nice. Which is why I think always being able to pair like an SMG with a blinding grenade launcher is an insane combo because you just blind the room. This in particular because this has auto loading versus having to slide for slide shot. You shoot your truth teller, you can immediately swap to spray down the enemy with escape velocity. You can clear the whole room like that. It's so dumb because you can get like 20 some shots with your truth teller in total. If I was gonna, let's just say I am able to have a lot of damage over time and be able to play it very aggressive and be up in the boss's face with a sword. Since my exotic slot is not eaten by my heavy, I can run something like either a Witherhoard or an Izanagi's Burden. Usually you don't use your exotic in your energy slot here. Like almost never do that. And it depends, but usually no. You want to put on something like this, where you can shoot a Witherhoard at enemy spawn doors so you can kill things as they come out, or you can stick it to, I can shoot a Witherhoard at a boss, so it's ticking damage at him while I'm swinging with my sword. And after 3 seconds, you get that auto reload anyway. So while your sword regeneration is building back up, you can immediately swap back to your Witherhoard, fire another shot for passive damage, and go right back to your guillotine. Izzy, I don't really know what to say much about. You have to be very ammo efficient with your Izzy, because you only get 5 times 4 shots if you have 20 shots. Just be aware that your ammo could run out fast unless you're using something like Special Finisher. I will say, I guess, just for building builds in general, don't go all in on close range or long range. If you're gonna do a shotgun and a sword, put on like a scout, dude. Don't be stupid. I promise you, if you guys have not used blinding grenades, this is the last time I'll talk about it. They will literally change the way you play PvE. It makes it so easy. If you were struggling in GMs, you start spraying these around everywhere, whether it's with ignition code or you want to use it with this, the truth teller, or the strike one, which I mentioned earlier, the empty vessel. Same thing as this pretty much, was just solar. It'll literally change the way you play the game. You will die so much less. Did that hopefully give you guys some insight into like why I have some of these things in my vault? Like I feel like I broke down most of everything in my vault. Also say hi to YouTube. YouTube, if you guys want to watch us prep for like upcoming content, you know where to catch us. Twitch.tv/Sweatcicle. Hopefully see you guys there. There's some big stuff coming up. Hopefully, looking forward to the dungeon coming out on this Tuesday with the 30th anniversary pack. Got some special stuff coming up. If you like giveaways and all that fun stuff, that's all I'm gonna say about that. So hopefully we'll see you guys later.